Welcome back to Grim Advice with Gretta Myers. You've entered the Grimoire with 2 M's. We're not turning page today because if I am remembering correctly, it's a 1-pager. Look. I lied to you. It's 1.5 pages. So we will be turning the page just a little bit. And can you believe it, guys? We are at the 99th episode, meaning tomorrow is the 100th episode. Can you believe it? I can't. Honestly, it's shocking that I've been able to do this long, and it's been a very awesome experience. And I want to thank you all for staying tuned. Alright. Without further mushy-gushy ado, Doctor Knowall. There was once on a time a poor peasant called Crab, who drove with 2 oxen a load of wood to the town and sold it to a doctor for 2 talkers. When the money was being counted out to him, it so happened that the doctor was sitting at table, and when the peasant saw how daintily he ate and drank, his heart desired what he saw, and he would willingly have been a doctor too. So he remained standing a while, and at length inquired if he too could not be a doctor. "Oh yes," said the doctor, "that is soon managed." "What must I do?" asked the peasant. "In the first place, buy yourself an ABC book of the kind which has a rooster on the frontispiece. In the second, turn your cart and your 2 oxen into money, and get yourself some clothes, whatever else pertains to medicine. And thirdly, have a sign painted for yourself with the words, 'I am Doctor Knowall,' and have that nailed up above your door." The peasant did everything that he had been told to do, and when he had doctored people a while, but not long, a rich and great lord had some money stolen. Then he was told about Doctor Knowall, who lived in such and such a village, and must know what had become of the money. So the lord had the horses put in his carriage, drove out to the village, and asked Crab if he were Doctor Knowall. Yes, he was, he said. Then he was to go with him and bring back the stolen money. "Oh yes, but Greth, my wife, must go too." The lord was willing, and let both of them have a seat in the carriage, and they all drove away together. When they came to the nobleman's castle, the table was spread, and Crab was told to sit down and eat. "Yes, but my wife Greth too." And he seated himself with her at the table. When the first servant came with a dish of delicate fare, the peasant nudged his wife and said, "Greth, that was the first," meaning that was the servant who brought the first dish. The servant, however, thought he intended by that to say, "That is the first thief." And as he actually was so, he was terrified, and said to his comrade outside, "If the doctor knows all, we shall fare ill. He said I was the first." The second did not want to go in at all, but was forced, and when he went in with his dish, the peasant nudged his wife and said, "Greth, that is the second." This servant was just as much alarmed, and he got out. The third did not fare much better, for the peasant again said, "Greth, that is the third." The fourth had to carry in a dish that was covered, and the lord told the doctor that he was to show his skill, and guess what was beneath the cover. And the doctor looked at the dish, and had no idea what it was, and cried, "Ah, poor Crab." When the lord heard that, he cried, "There, he knows it, he knows who has the money." On this the servants looked terribly uneasy, and made a sign to the doctor that they wished him to step outside for a moment. When therefore he went out, all 4 of them confessed him that they had stolen the money, and said that they would willingly restore it and give him a heavy sum into the bargain, if he would not denounce them, for if he did they would be hanged. They led him to the spot where the money was concealed. With this the doctor was satisfied, and returned to the hall, sat down at the table, and said, "My lord, now I will search in my book where the gold is hidden." And the 5th servant, however, crept into the stove to hear if the doctor knew still more. The doctor, however, sat still and opened his ABC book, turned the pages backwards and forwards, and looked for the rooster. As he could not find it immediately, he said, "I know you are there, so you had better show yourself." Then the fellow in the stove thought the doctor meant him, and full of terror sprang out, crying, "That man knows everything!" Then Doctor Knowall showed the count where the money was, but did not say who had stolen it, and received from both sides much money in reward, and became a renowned man. A fancy sign, clothes, and an ABC book, and sheer dumb luck does not a doctor make. And honestly, this story's a little frustrating to me. Because there are vastly many types of people in this world. However, when come to certain tasks, there seem to be two types of people. The type that has to work very, very hard to gain even a little bit. Another type that just skates on by on heels of gold and is just gifted and talented and blessed and everything, at least in that area, just comes naturally to them seemingly, and it looks like they never struggle, while type A is trying so hard all the time to improve, and type B people are just like, yeah, this is a breeze. That's a little frustrating as someone who is most typically a type A, where I have to try really hard to do certain things, and still a lot of the time it doesn't even come to fruition, and so I'm sitting there just like, I don't know what to do because I'm trying really hard, and it's discouraging. And then I look at these people and I'm like, yeah, they're doing great. They're doing great. I mean, we can throw in the perspective that I'm comparing my worst to their best. Still doesn't make it any less discouraging, though. Let's be real. Like, we've all heard that. You're comparing your worst to their best, and that's not fair to either of you. It still doesn't make it less hard to feel inferior. Especially in this story, where he does nothing on purpose, and the answer to the riddle is just handed to him on a proverbial silver platter, and then he gets filthy rich from everybody. And what about that other guy? I mean, the guy who told him to do it. How did he get to his doctoral position? Hard work? Maybe. I mean, he's the one who suggested to him, just get some clothes and some medicine stuff and slap a sign up above your door and you'll be a doctor. Like, honestly, what was he thinking? Was he, trying to give him throwaway advice, like he's never gonna do it? Like, I don't know. But let's pretend that the doctor was... Yeah, let's pretend for a minute that he's a type A and tries really, really, really hard to get where he is as a doctor and is, genuinely trying to help people, and then there's people like Crab, which it's nice to get a name. And it's frustrating. And you know what? That's valid to be frustrated over that. Is it good to work towards not being frustrated and being content with you doing your best, even though other people seem to be doing better than that? Yeah. It's good to do that. However, sometimes you just need to accept that you're frustrated, and that's okay, and that's valid. You're valid for being frustrated with a frustrating situation. I mean, don't ask me. I'm not Doctor Knowall on this. But that's where my perspective comes. Okay. Alright, my gremlins. Thank you for joining us for another happily ever after, or not so happily ever after. That's up for you to decide. Either way, this is, it's your valid. Either way, this is the end for this episode. So tune in later and we can learn more and turn new pages together and have a very exciting revealing of information you might want to know Saturday special, and it's going to be great.